My point.
Yeah. I mean, the fact is, we did have witnesses at the event of it happened. Whether or not their testimony actually made it into the final recollections is anyone's guess.
The
claim only was those aren't eyewitness accounts, and my claim was you can't prove that.
No. Let's think. We have writing about something that happened, and they're writing that so and so was there. We can't now say that we have eyewitnesses to the event. Like, say for example,
because I didn't say that.
Yeah.
So you are straw manning me, right?
No. I'm saying an event took place. Let's take it away from Christianity and Islam. An event took place, and then after a period of time, an unknown person writes it down, and the person writes down that, I don't know, David and John and Sarah done such and such, and someone says, okay, this account, who was actually an eyewitness? We don't know who wrote it, we found it written on a piece of paper. And someone says, oh, David was an eyewitness, Sarah was an eyewitness. No, we want to know this information, is it correct?
Sure. And my only contention was you can't say I'm not eyewitness accounts. You can say that I have no reason to believe they are eyewitness accounts. My critique was very precise, which is why I say you're kind of straw manning me, because I didn't say they're definitely eyewitness accounts. I believe they are. But the argument that he made was they are not eyewitness accounts.
Why do you believe they are?
Because I believe in the Catholic Church. I believe that it is the living body of Christ on earth. I believe that the Marian apparitions, Eucharistic miracles. I believe in the apostolic tradition. I believe Jesus Christ rose from the dead.
Okay.
Lots of reasons.
But I'm asking a specific question.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you believe something is an eyewitness account?
I believe the Bible's not wrong, because I believe the Catholic Church to be the righteous inheritors of the authority given to the apostles.
Okay.
Oral tradition, much in the same way that Hadiths are.
Okay, no. Oral tradition, the point is, when we talk about oral tradition, we're talking about, we need to know who heard it, from who.
Right, and it's a begging of the question. You put on your own.
Let me finish.
Yeah, sorry, I really didn't mean to.
No problem.
You know my brain moves like
that. No problem.
Yeah.
So when you have that chain with those 5 people, they need to be known. We need to know about their character. We need to know about their memory. Mm-hmm. We can compare what they've said with other people of what they've said. So this is the way we can check it. But then just to say oral tradition, when we don't know who the person was, who they heard from, it doesn't amount to the same thing. We can't say it's like the Hadith tradition. It's not like the Hadith tradition.
They are definitely both oral tradition in the sense that just because you know the names of the people involved, you can't verify, like, all the way back to the original or the genesis point of the chain is the point. Just knowing who they are doesn't mean that the facts are true. I don't even contend that the Hadiths are wrong.
Yeah.
I think they probably are, in large part, reasonably accurate. I just think they describe events that aren't divine. But I would still say it still is an oral tradition that falls to very similar pitfalls. And if you're going to criticize one of them, you have to remember that your position isn't exactly rock solid. And what I wanted to say a minute ago was you say we have to X, Y, Z, which is begging the question. You're putting a bar of believability on it. And you got that bar of believability because you're a Muslim. You say this bar of believability works for me, so I put it on the Hadiths. I could come up with a much better one. I could say that we had to have 5 different people, 5 different chains that all converge, that are completely disparate from one another. They can't have came from one companion of the Prophet. You can stop in multiple different places, but you beg the question to say it has to meet this bar because I believe Islam and Islam meets that bar.
No.
He's lovely.
He's like a very on-point brother.
He is.
May Allah help us.
I'm punching above my weight here.
No. No. See, the thing is, when you say that this is just set up, we're talking about events which are said to have happened in time, in history. Okay. And then we're saying that if you don't have eyewitnesses, and you don't know who you heard it from, and you don't know how the information reached you, then we're saying that this event cannot be considered reliable, especially if you have multiple accounts and they contradict each other. So, but then to say that,
and that's a reasonable body of evidence for you to hold, and I'm not going to criticize you for it.
And then to say that that's similar to the hadith, it's not in any shape or form.
In some shapes and forms,
No.
not in every shape and form, but in some shapes.
No,
They are both predisposed to the brain rot, the bit rot of human brains. People can forget things, people can get details wrong. You know, scribes can be wrong if it gets out of oral tradition, it gets onto paper tradition. It falls to very similar problems, just much lesser extent of them. Because you have,
I disagree.
If I have a chain of 5 people,
Yeah.
you know the game Telephone.
no. The thing is, no, telephone, the game telephone is a very bad example.
Because
Telephone
you're going to tell
is,
me multiple attestation.
No, telephone is, no, brother, you tell me something in a way that this person cannot hear, and this person cannot hear, this person cannot hear. But we're talking about events or statements which happen in an open place, which many people can hear. So
Yes.
it's not similar to telephone at all.
I mean, all you're saying is that the barrier of people being wrong or the barrier of people lying is pushed up higher. That's all you've done. Because it's still fallible humans, right?
It's still far higher, especially if you're comparing an event where a statement is made or an action is made, and then you know, okay, these people were here, they reported it to these people, and they reported it to these people. So that's one piece of information. And then you have a piece of information where it's said that this happened, but we don't know who was there. We don't know who transmitted it, and we don't know who reported it. Like, say for example, when it comes to the Gospel of Luke, we don't actually know that Luke wrote it.
Not for sure.
Not for sure. And Luke himself says he doesn't claim to be inspired by the Holy Spirit. He explains why he wrote it. He said that I saw many people writing.
Yes, it's Luke that's considered to be a scribe of Peter, if I believe.
Paul.
Peter, not Paul.
No,
Peter.
Paul, definitely.
Peter.
No,
Luke was the scribe of Peter.
that's Mark. That's Mark. 100%. Luke is considered to be a traveling companion of Paul.
Liz, I'm going.
Are they doing okay over there?
Yeah. Mark is said to be a secretary of a scribe of Peter. Luke is said to be a traveling companion of Paul.
Yeah, I mean, you may be right, but I need to remind my. Yeah. Fair enough. Luke the Evangelist was a Paul.
Okay.
So it's a Mark I'm thinking of.
Yeah. So the issue with no problem.
Yeah, I think generally I don't think we have much contention here, because I think I agree with you that your barrier for your bar for believability is high than mine. So I don't have no reason to believe.
I would say yours is non-existent.
That's fine. You're
Yeah.
allowed to do that. I will disagree with you. I would say that our barrier for who wrote them is not 0. But I would say yours, maybe your idea of a chain of transmission is maybe a more strong bar to use, but I could
Maybe.
invent higher bars.
Maybe.
And the reason you put the bar
you say
there
maybe it's more strong or it is stronger.
is stronger. I would say it probably
Okay.
is stronger. You know,
No,
I mean,
no,
I'm
no,
not.
you can't-
I will be
you can't
intellectually
put-
honest here.
You can't. No, it's not intellectually honest when you say probably stronger or maybe
Is
stronger.
stronger. That's why I
It
say.
is,
That's why I didn't
without-
mean to speak that way. If I
without a
spoke
doubt.
with inconclusive.
No problem.
Yes.
No, because words have meaning.
Yes. I hope you understood where I'm trying to come from. I'm admitting the difference here. I just think the reason you put the bar where you do, where modern scholarship would put it way higher,
Yeah.
is because it suits your purposes.
No,
It's kind of a begging the question of the
No.
situation. I was talking to a lovely sister recently who said,
it's
"I
not.
don't."
It's not begging the question. It's a case of we're talking about something in history. Did it happen? And the idea of begging the question would be saying that I'm a Muslim. I believe that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did this, and because I'm a Muslim, I believe that Jesus didn't do this, for example. And then you're saying, in order to get to the result I wanted, I set up a parameter, I set up a set of conditions to make the answer come my way and
Which
not
is
go
what I
your
said.
way. No.
Is what I said.
No.
Like there's other higher barriers of evidence
No,
that
no,
you
no,
could
no.
apply.
No.
Like modern scholarship would say that the Hadiths are unreliable, but you wouldn't because you chose where to put the bar so that it would
Let
keep...
me finish. Let me finish.
I'm
It's,
sorry.
it's not putting a bar. It's a case of an event has taken place or a statement has taken place, and the condition is okay. You have eyewitnesses. Eyewitnesses who are known to be trustworthy, who are known to be people who are precise. Okay.
Known by who is the point.
Okay.
That's a very fuzzy
Oh no,
term.
no. It can be tested. It can be tested.
Like, for example,
I will come to it. Then, in order for that to be accepted, it has to have a complete chain meeting these conditions. Okay. This is not
these conditions that I've come up with.
these 5 conditions.
That I've come up with.
No, but these 5 conditions they're not something which we came up with because it suits our narrative. These 5 conditions are very clear, very understandable.
And who came up with them?
The Muslims came up with them.
Right.
But even a historian, non-Muslim, would understand, okay.
But the historians don't believe that the Hadiths are as accurate as they need to be.
Which historians?
Like anyone, like genuinely.
I
Do you
don't-
think
I don't accept
that-
I don't accept that.
That's perfectly
No,
fine.
but
That's
let me
perfectly
finish my point. So
we all disagree with historians sometimes. That's fine.
when you have a historian and they're looking at events in the past,
Yes.
they're going to prefer if
Yes,
the
they'll
one
prefer, yes.
the one who reported it
Yes.
was present, was an eyewitness,
Mm-hmm.
was known to be sane, was known to be trustworthy.
You haven't
Yeah.
you haven't clarified that point yet. You don't know that they were proven to be trustworthy or sane.
Oh,
I
we
mean,
do.
Okay.
Because we have their
Go on.
biographies. You can say that we gave the biography, but we have their biographies.
The biography is one attestation. You say they are known to be X.
Yes.
Says who? Did you ask the community? When you say known to be,
See, now I would say you're the one who's putting conditions in order to get to the,
that's the point I'm trying to make. You put your bar at a very certain position, and
Yes.
I'm saying the bar could be all over the place, and you pick one that perfectly captures your barrier to keep Hadiths valid.
Yeah, this is because you have an event, and once the event or statement has taken place, we will have a person who was present, who is known, accepted by the community, and he
You
has.
haven't proved that yet.
We can come to that, and then you will go to. It has to have a chain until the person who writes it down. This is what we have, and then, for example, when you have multiple companions reporting the same incident.
Yes.
And then, for example, these companions, they had students who had students, and these students settled in different lands. So
Yep.
we'll have the report
I
from.
can see the multiple attestation parts
Yes.
quite well, yeah.
So
the
when-
things that are multiply attested, I will. Yeah,
So
that's pretty.
So
it's still.
let me
It's
finish.
still.
Let me finish.
Okay,
Let me finish. So if we have an event, like for example the Hadith of Jibreel, and it's narrated by multiple companions, and then these companions had multiple students,
Yep.
and then we find this Hadith being mentioned in Damascus, it's been mentioned in Hijaz, Mecca and Medina area. We find it being mentioned in Yemen. We find it being mentioned in Basra and Kufa. And then we bring these chains together and we say, okay, all of the information corresponds. Different wording because people, they mention things in different ways. Maybe
Yep.
some has some details missing, some has more.
Right.
But they come together.
Right.
We would say, yes, we understand that this event took place. Now,
You would say.
let me finish. Let me finish. I know I'm talking long, but if we have, for example, in one of the chains, there's one person who's actually said something completely contradictory. We would trace that back and say, okay, that person, he's mistaken.
Yes.
That person, either, if that person, just for example, his name is Abdullah. Abdullah, he does this very often, where he makes mistakes very often. We would say this person, he was known, he was respected, he was a good character, but he had weak memory. He made many errors. He's not a reliable transmitter.
Yeah.
But if, for example, Abdullah made a mistake, but then we find multiple narrations where Abdullah is correct in what he says, we'll say, okay, this is prone to human error. But when you have this system, and then you can compare it to the 4 Gospels, you can't say one is stronger, one is. possibly stronger or more likely. It's a reality that this is trustworthy, this is not.
I would say in scholarship they would say both are untrustworthy. You would say I'm untrustworthy.
Why would it be untrustworthy?
I mean, because people
Yeah.
writing things. All you've done is you've said only common innovations prevail. So if you have 4 people that attest to the same thing,
Yeah.
and they have scribal errors, whatever, all you've done is you've made it unlikely that non-common innovations prevail. So
What do you mean by common innovation?
So if I give everyone a story
Yeah.
and human brains are predisposed in a certain way to change it in a certain way, change their recollection in some
Yeah.
certain way. If they live in a world where this was deemed bad, so they all tried to work around it. And if they all worked around it
Yeah.
in the same way, gone. And I will admit that's unlikely, but I'm still trying to push the point that your standard is arbitrary. Your standard is arbitrary. Whether or not it's better than mine, which probably is, yes. Probably is, yes. I want to be careful.
What do you mean by probably
Personally,
is yes?
from my own heart,
Yeah.
if you want my opinion,
Yeah.
yes, stronger, yes. But you need to realize I'm trying to be careful. A week from now, I might have thought about this harder and come back with something better. But for now, I'll say that it's better. Okay, better. But it's still not perfect. It's still an arbitrary line that you're placing, and you're putting a lot of faith on that line.
No.
And it's a human-invented line. It's not in the Quran.
It
We're
is
back
in
on
the
this
Quran.
topic.
No, it isn't.
No,
it
those
isn't.
5 standards aren't in the Quran. We've been over this. It was a wonderful conversation, but it's not in the Quran.
It is in the Quran.
Where? The
Okay.
5 standard, where is it in the Quran?
Okay. Firstly, in ja'akum fasiqun binaba'in fatabayyanu. Allah mentions, "O you who believe, if an untrustworthy person comes to you with news, verify it." From this we understand when you have a trustworthy person coming with a report, you accept it.
What does trustworthy mean to you?
Trustworthy to us, the person is Muslim.
Where does it say that in the Quran? It says trustworthy in the Quran, but where does it say Muslim?
Oh, the person has to be a believer to be trustworthy.
Where does it say that?
See, the thing is, now in Stratford at this time, I can't give you all the answers, but I'm not asking you to accept. It's not a case of trust me, bro. It's there.
I do trust you, actually. In
No,
fairness.
don't. I don't.
No,
I'm saying
I trust you. You're a good guy.
This we call it mustalah hadith, the science of hadith. These conditions are written, they're explained, evidences are brought for them. Why did they come up with these evidences? And they'll bring you from the Quran, they'll bring you from the hadith to support why they came with these conditions. But unfortunately, at the moment, I cannot present it to you.
Why is it not an innovation then?
What do you mean by innovation?
Islam doesn't like innovation, does it?
We're going into a different subject, but the thing is, you have to understand
Because
what innovation
my point is that it doesn't exist as you use it. It doesn't exist in the Quran in a obvious sense.
No. If a trustworthy person tells you something, you accept it.
And trustworthy means,
A believer.
where does it say that?
Oh, well, we can bring you many. I don't have it now.
Yes.
But the thing is, generally, a trustworthy person
Generally.
is
Arbitrary.
No. Someone who's a believer, someone who's not known to commit major sins, or they're not known to be continuous upon. How would you say?
The opposite of haq.
No, a person who's not persistent on minor sins, a person who doesn't go against the social norms in society.
We call them venial and mortal sins. Minor sins are venial and mortal sins are major.
Okay, so someone may commit minor sins, but for example, if you have a person if a person's known to lie, if a person's known to cheat in business, if a person's known to commit adultery, etc., this person, we don't consider them trustworthy. It's possible that they may tell the truth, of course, but we wouldn't say they're trustworthy.
It's possible that it may also transpire that a trustworthy person lies as well. It is possible.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible.
Unlikely, but
No.
possible.
But the thing is, there's a difference between a person who lies and a person who's a liar.
Everyone's a liar sometimes.
Everyone lies sometimes, possibly.
Except for the prophet, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay.
Prophets,
Except from Jesus, sorry.
Prophets in plural.
Did none of them lie?
It depends what you mean by lie. Like, for example, Ibrahim alayhi salam.
You've got some Catholic in you. Depends what you mean by lie. You've got some Catholic in you.
No, it depends what you
Yeah.
mean.
Withholding the truth, is that a lie?
Not necessarily.
is intentionally telling a distruth that doesn't hurt someone. Is that a lie?
There's a time and place for this, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I understand. That makes sense. Similar vein to what we've got. Lie is always bad, but
No.
lie in favour.
No, in Islam we have. Well, in Arabic you have. I know we're going around in circles, but in Arabic you have something is true and you have something is a lie.
Mm-hmm.
A lie in Arabic, it doesn't work in English. In Arabic, when you say kadhib, a lie is something which goes against the truth, even if the person didn't intend it.
I see.
So you can have an intentional lie,
Yes.
and you can have a mistaken lie. Where in English, when we use lie, it's always used for something intentional.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I think the point we want to get back to is if the New Testament says something happened, such as, we'll give an example, the Quran says the issue of the crucifixion. The Quran says it didn't take place, and it says that the people who said it takes place, they don't have any knowledge, it's a presumption, etc., etc. It's not upon certainty. And then we have the text of the New Testament saying it does happen.
Yep. Written, hundreds of years before the Quran.
Yes, written hundreds of years before.
Hundreds. I'm not overstate. I'm not going to say 600. Don't worry.
You can say 600, 500. Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to say, because the Quran is the speech of Allah, the revelation of Allah.
Yes.
We're saying this is reliable. And when we're going to say that the Bible, just by the fact that it goes into Quran, from our perspective, we're going to say it's false.
Yes. Which only is helpful if you already believe in the Quran.
Yeah, which I do. But yeah, of course.
And we were talking about the idea of eyewitness attestation.
Yeah.
And I think the Quran doesn't have to abide by these rules, because the Quran isn't the Hadith, it is the revelation.
Yeah.
But it's still, as I don't believe it's the revelation, I think there's a massive hole in the fact that 600 years after the crucifixion, someone else came along, no eyewitnesses involved, whatever, and said it didn't happen.
Yes.
And one of the things that makes me think the hardest on this, I don't know exactly when the substitution theory came about, but it is quite handy, and I'm not going to say that this disproves it, but it is quite handy that argument exists on one of the things that secular scholars agree on. So that Islam can find itself not in conflict with secular historians who generally agree that Jesus Christ, born, baptized by John the Baptist, and died on the cross.
Okay.
You don't have to conflict with that if you concoct an idea of a replacement. And I think that's really, pretty lucky.
Really handy.
Really handy. That doesn't make it wrong at all.
No. You know what it is?
But it's also handy that when you ask people why was Jesus baptized, because secular scholars agree Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist, they say, oh, that's what Dawah is now, or different prophets had different ways, or that kind of thing. It's quite handy that Oh, sorry.
No, it's not your fault. It's not your fault.
No, please.
What it is,
I had to run off earlier to church, so.
What it is, because the conversation is going well. I hope we can continue. Either, if you're still here, I will be back. If you're not, then another day. Yeah, but
I hope you have a
because
wonderful
the time come.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. A pleasure. Yeah, I'm going. If you're here, we'll continue.
Yeah.
But if not,
always fantastic to talk to.
But if not, because I know this is the subject which you wanted to talk about.
Fine.
So, we will continue.
It's absolutely fine.
Ethan, thank you very much for your time. It's a pleasure.